These sleep habits aren't complicated, but they contradict everything you learned about rest. Habit number 8, they wake up at different times. Let's start with something that sounds absolutely wrong to American ears. Every productivity guru tells you the same thing. Wake up at 5 a.m., consistency is king, same time every day. High performers? They do the opposite. Not randomly, strategically. They sync with their sleep cycles, not their alarm clocks. Here's what sleep researchers at Stanford discovered. Waking up mid-cycle, even after 8 hours, leaves you more impaired than waking up after 6 hours at the right moment. Your brain moves through 90-minute sleep cycles: light sleep, deep sleep, REM, repeat. Interrupt deep sleep and you're wrecking a biological process that's been perfecting itself for millions of years. Jeff Bezos doesn't use an alarm clock, neither does Ariana Huffington. They wake naturally when their body completes a cycle. For Bezos, that's sometimes 7 hours, sometimes 9, varies nightly. But I have to be at work by 8 a.m. Sure, then calculate backwards in 90-minute increments. Need to wake at 6:30 a.m.? Go to sleep at 11 p.m., 5 complete cycles, or 12:30 a.m., 4 cycles. Not 11:45 p.m., not midnight. Those 15 to 45-minute differences put your alarm in the middle of deep sleep, which is why you feel like you got hit by a truck. One Goldman Sachs executive told researchers, "I stopped fighting my body's rhythm and started working with it. Some mornings I wake at 5:47 a.m., others at 7:03 a.m. I track my cycles, not a rigid schedule. My cognitive performance increased 31% in 3 months." The American mistake: we treat humans like machines that need the same input every day. High performers treat themselves like biological systems that need completion cycles. Think about the last time you woke up naturally before your alarm, feeling refreshed. What time was it? That's your body telling you something. Habit number 7, they heat up to cool down. This sleep habit isn't complicated, but it feels backward because we've been doing the opposite our entire lives. High performers raise their body temperature before bed so it can drop faster. Most Americans take hot showers in the morning and cold showers at night if they're optimizing. Wrong direction. Here's the biology. Your core body temperature needs to drop 2 to 3 degrees Fahrenheit for quality sleep to begin. It's not optional. It's a biological requirement. When your body cools, it triggers melatonin release, slows your heart rate, and signals the brain, time to shut down. Matthew Walker, director of UC Berkeley Sleep Lab and author of Why We Sleep, found that strategically raising your temperature 90 minutes before bed creates a faster, steeper cool down afterward. It's like heating metal before quenching it. The contrast accelerates the process. Top performers do this through hot baths 60 to 90 minutes before bed, not right before. Timing matters. Saunas in the early evening, hot yoga at 7 p.m., even heated blankets for 20 minutes, then removed. LeBron James takes a hot bath exactly 90 minutes before bed, then enters a room kept at 68 degrees Fahrenheit. His body temperature plummets, and he's out of sleep within minutes. Roger Federer did the same during his career. The research backs it. A meta-analysis of 5,322 studies published in Sleep Medicine Reviews found that heating the body 1 to 2 hours before sleep reduced time to sleep by 36% and increased deep sleep by 15%. But here's what Americans do. We keep our bedrooms at 72 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit, comfortable room temperature, take lukewarm showers, and wonder why we toss and turn for 45 minutes. Our body temperature stays level when it needs to drop. One Microsoft executive explained, "I installed a smart thermostat that drops my bedroom to 66 degrees Fahrenheit at 9 p.m. I take a 20-minute hot bath at 9:30 p.m. By 10:30, my body temperature is in free fall and I'm out cold." Changed everything. The high performer secret? Strategic temperature manipulation, not temperature comfort. Habit number 6, they eat carbs at night. This sleep habit isn't complicated, but it contradicts every diet book Americans have read for 20 years. High performers eat carbs in the evening, intentionally. Wait, doesn't that make you fat? Isn't that when your metabolism is slowest? Different goal. They're not optimizing for weight loss at 10 p.m. They're optimizing for sleep quality, and the science is surprisingly clear. Researchers at the University of Sydney studied this extensively. Carbohydrate consumption 1 to 4 hours before bed increases tryptophan availability in the brain. Tryptophan converts to serotonin, which converts to melatonin. It's the biological assembly line for sleep hormones, and carbs are the raw material. The Japanese have known this for centuries. That's why traditional dinners include rice. They're not being indulgent, they're being strategic. Tim Ferriss, after tracking his sleep for 8 years, discovered his best sleep came on nights he ate sweet potatoes or white rice with dinner. It went against everything I believed about carbs, but the data doesn't lie. My deep sleep increased 23% on carb-heavy nights. But here's the nuance Americans miss. Type and timing matter. High performers eat complex carbs, rice, potatoes, oats, squash, 1 to 3 hours before bed, not right before. Moderate portions, not entire pizzas. What they avoid, simple sugars, candy, soda, desserts that spike blood glucose. Protein-heavy late-night meals that increase alertness. Any food within 60 minutes of sleep, digestion interferes. Dr. Chris Winter, sleep advisor to professional sports teams, recommends this protocol to athletes. Carbs at dinner, small portion, finished by 8 p.m. It's the single most effective sleep improvement that costs nothing. One venture capitalist who adopted this, I spent 20 years doing low-carb dinners thinking I was being disciplined. I was disciplined into insomnia. Now I have jasmine rice with dinner. I sleep like I'm in college again. The American mistake? Treating all nutrition goals the same. High performers prioritize the goal for the time of day. Evening is for sleep preparation, not muscle building or fat loss. Habit number 5. They darken their mornings, brighten their nights. This sleep habit isn't complicated, but Americans have the light exposure completely inverted. High performers get bright light at night and darkness in the morning. Yes, you read that right. Not all night, not all morning, strategic windows. Here's what chronobiology research reveals. Your chronobionic rhythm is controlled by light exposure timing more than light exposure amount. The when matters more than the how much. Your body has 2 critical light windows. 1, morning light window, 6 to 9 a.m. Bright light here advances your clock, makes you wake earlier. 2, evening light window, 6 to 9 p.m. Bright light here delays your clock, makes you wake later. Most Americans get blasted with light during their morning commute, advancing their clock, then dim everything at night, further advancing. Result, you're exhausted by 8 p.m. but wired at 10 p.m. Your clock is confused. High performers do this. Morning, 6 to 9 a.m., blackout curtains, dim lights, blue light blocking glasses if needed. They delay the bright light exposure until 9 to 10 a.m. Evening, 6 to 9 p.m., full spectrum bright light, overhead lights, light therapy boxes, even brief sun exposure. They advance their evening light. Night, 9 p.m. plus, then they cut it all, complete darkness. Sounds backward, right? But neuroscientist Andrew Huberman explains, if you want to sleep midnight to 8 a.m., you need to shift your light exposure to match. Most people are accidentally training themselves for a 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. schedule, then fighting it. Sheryl Sandberg reportedly used this protocol during her Facebook executive years. Blackout curtains until 9 a.m. on weekends, bright kitchen lights during dinner prep at 7 p.m., complete darkness by 10 p.m. The research, a study in the Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine, found that adjusting light exposure timing improved sleep onset by 42 minutes on average without any other changes. One Chicago attorney explained, "I stopped checking my phone in bed in the morning. I keep my bedroom dark until my alarm goes off at 7:30 a.m. Then I open the curtains. At night, I installed bright LED panels in my kitchen and living room that I turn on 6 to 8 p.m. My body finally figured out when nighttime actually is." The high performer secret? Light is information. Give your body the right information at the right time. Habit number 4. They protect the first 90 minutes like it's gold. This sleep habit isn't complicated, but it exposes how Americans waste their most valuable sleep. High performers obsess over the first 90 minutes of sleep, and they'll sacrifice almost anything else to protect it. Not the last hour, not the middle of the night, the first cycle. Dr. Matthew Walker's research at Berkeley revealed something shocking. The first 90-minute cycle of sleep contains 60 to 80% of your total deep sleep for the entire night. That first cycle is doing the heavy lifting: memory consolidation, immune system repair, growth hormone release, toxin clearance from the brain. Miss that first cycle or disrupt it, and you can't make it up. You could sleep 10 hours, but if that first 90 minutes is fragmented, you'll wake up cognitively impaired. High performers treat this window like a sacred ritual. No screens 60 minutes before. The blue light isn't the problem, the engagement is. No quick checks of emails, social media, news. No arguments or stressful conversations after 9 p.m. It fragments that first cycle catastrophically. Bedroom temperature already at 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit before getting into bed. White noise or earplugs deployed preemptively. Bill Gates is famous for this. His staff knows. After 9 p.m., nothing reaches him unless it's an emergency. He's protecting the first cycle. One tech CEO put it bluntly: "I'll skip a networking dinner, miss a concert, decline a late meeting. I don't care. That first 90 minutes of sleep is worth more to my cognitive performance than anything else I could be doing." The data supports this obsession. Stanford researchers found that athletes who improved their first cycle sleep quality increased reaction time by 9%, accuracy by 12%, and reported 17% better mood without sleeping any longer. But here's what Americans do. We scroll TikTok until we're tired enough, argue with our spouse about tomorrow's logistics, have a glass of wine to wind down, keep the TV on for background noise, and then wonder why we wake up foggy despite getting 8 hours. We're contaminating the most valuable sleep we'll get all night. One investment banker described his transformation. "I used to close deals until 11 p.m., have a bourbon, check email in bed. I was getting 7 hours but feeling like 4. Now I have a hard stop at 9 p.m. Phone goes in another room. I'm in bed by 10 p.m. reading fiction, nothing work-related, and asleep by 10:20. That first cycle is pristine now. My performance reviews improved within a quarter." The high performers principle: protect the first 90 minutes like it's the only sleep you'll get, because functionally it almost is. Habit number 3. They track but don't trust their wearables. This sleep habit isn't complicated, but it reveals how Americans are being misled by their technology. High performers use sleep trackers, Oura rings, Whoop bands, Apple Watches, but they do something most people don't. They validate the data against how they actually feel. Because here's what the sleep tech companies don't advertise. Consumer wearables are wrong about your sleep stages 30 to 40% of the time. Dr. Hallie Montgomery Downs at West Virginia University compared consumer trackers against medical-grade polysomnography, the gold standard. The findings? Wearables are decent at detecting when you're asleep versus awake, but deep sleep versus light sleep versus REM? They're often just guessing based on movement and heart rate. So why do high performers still use them? For patterns, not precision. They look at trends over weeks. My deep sleep percentage drops every Sunday night. What's different about Sundays? My resting heart rate spikes when I eat after 9 p.m. Connection? My latency doubles when I work out after 7 p.m. Interesting. They're not obsessing over whether last night was 23% deep sleep or 26%. They're using the device as a mirror to reveal patterns their conscious mind misses. Bill Gates uses an Oura ring, but reportedly said, "If the ring says I got great sleep, but I feel terrible, I trust how I feel. If I feel great, but the ring says I got poor sleep, I trust how I feel. The ring shows me patterns over time. That's its value." One Navy SEAL commander explained, "We use sleep trackers during training, but we'd have guys with perfect sleep scores who couldn't perform and guys with terrible scores who dominated. We learned the score is a clue, not a verdict. How you feel and how you perform is the real data." Here's the American mistake. We outsource our self-awareness to technology. My watch says I got 2 hours of deep sleep, so I'm going to be exhausted today. that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. High performers do this instead. 1. Track sleep for pattern detection. 2. Rate their subjective sleep quality 1 to 10 every morning. 3. Note cognitive performance throughout the day. 4. Correlate the 3 data points over weeks. 5. Find their personal optimization variables. A Google executive shared, "My Whoop says I need 8 hours and 20 minutes, but I tested it. I feel and perform best at 7 hours and 45 minutes. The algorithm doesn't know me better than I know me. It's a tool, not a truth." The high performer principle: track everything, believe your body, correlation over causation, patterns over precision. Habit number 2, they schedule their stress, not their sleep. This sleep habit isn't complicated, but it flips the entire American approach upside down. Most people try to schedule perfect sleep. High performers schedule their stress and let sleep fall where it naturally wants to. Because here's what sleep researchers know: you can't force sleep. The harder you try, the worse it gets. Sleep is a biological function that happens when conditions are right, not an achievement you will into existence. Americans treat sleep like a task. I will sleep from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. When it doesn't happen, they panic, which releases cortisol, which prevents sleep, which creates more panic. It's a doom loop. High performers take the opposite approach. They ask, what's preventing natural sleep? Then they schedule their stress so it doesn't bleed into sleep windows. Dr. Sarah Mednick at UC Irvine found that the timing of stress matters more than the amount of stress. Stress hormones have a 6 to 8 hour half-life. If you have a stressful meeting at 7 p.m., your cortisol won't clear until 1 to 3 a.m. No amount of meditation will override biology. Top performers structure their days like this: high-stress tasks, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., meetings, decisions, conflicts, negotiations. Medium-stress tasks, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m., planning, creative work, exercise. Low-stress only, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m., family time, reading, light TV, boring tasks. Zero stress, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Reed Hastings, Netflix co-founder, is famous for this. He schedules all difficult conversations before 4 p.m. After 7 p.m., he's watching Netflix, his own product, or reading fiction, nothing that spikes cortisol. One Fortune 500 CEO explained, "I used to take investor calls at 8 p.m. because that's when they were available. I'd be wired until 2 a.m., sleep 4 hours, feel destroyed. Now I have a hard stop. If 8 p.m. is their only time, they're not the right investor. My cognitive performance is worth more than any single deal." But here's the depth Americans miss. This includes digital stress, scrolling news, social media, work email. These aren't relaxing. A study at Harvard found that evening social media use increases cortisol levels comparably to workplace conflict. High performers set hard boundaries. No work email after 7 p.m., automatic filters, not willpower. No news after dinner, recorded, watch it tomorrow. No phone in bedroom, charge it elsewhere. No productive evening activities, sleep hygiene beats productivity. One tech founder shared, "I used to think evenings were for catching up on work. Then I tracked my output. Work done after 7 p.m. was 60% more likely to need revision the next day. I wasn't catching up, I was creating more work and destroying my sleep. Now I shut it down at 7 p.m., sleep great, and work better the next day." The high performer secret: you can control your stress schedule. You can't control when sleep arrives. Schedule the former, and the latter takes care of itself. And now, the most powerful sleep habit of all, the one that makes everything else possible. Habit number 1, they've made peace with imperfect sleep. This sleep habit isn't complicated, but it's the hardest one for Americans to adopt because it requires surrendering control. High performers have stopped trying to hack, optimize, or perfect their sleep. They've made peace with it. Not given up, made peace. There's a difference. Here's the paradox that destroys American sleep. The harder you try to sleep perfectly, the worse you sleep. Anxiety about sleep becomes the primary barrier to sleep. It's the psychological version of quicksand. Struggling makes you sink faster. Dr. Michael Perlis at the University of Pennsylvania runs a clinic for chronic insomnia. He found that 70% of his patients' insomnia was perpetuated not by poor sleep hygiene, but by anxiety about poor sleep hygiene. They'd lie awake thinking, "I'm not sleeping. This is terrible. Tomorrow will be ruined. I need to sleep. Why can't I sleep?" That inner monologue releases stress hormones, which prevent sleep, which validates the anxiety, which releases more stress hormones. The fear of bad sleep causes the bad sleep. High performers break this cycle through acceptance. Arianna Huffington, who literally collapsed from sleep deprivation and built an entire company around sleep, says, "Some nights I sleep beautifully, some nights I don't. I've stopped treating bad nights like emergencies. My body knows how to sleep. Sometimes it needs to do something else first." Bill Gates reads for an hour before bed, not to fall asleep, but because he enjoys it. If sleep comes, great. If not, he keeps reading. He's removed the pressure. One Olympic athlete described his transformation. "I used to lie in bed calculating hours, like if I fall asleep right now, I'll get 6.5 hours, then panic when I couldn't fall asleep. My sports psychologist told me, sleep will come when your body trusts the bed is safe. Right now, the bed is a stress chamber, so I changed my internal script. Now it's, I'm resting. If sleep comes, great. If not, rest is still valuable. I fall asleep faster with that mindset than I ever did trying to force it." The research supports this counterintuitive approach. A study published in Behavior Research and Therapy found that insomniacs who practiced acceptance-based therapy, literally accepting wakefulness without judgment, reduced their sleep onset time by 47% within 4 weeks. They stopped fighting sleep and started allowing it. Here's the American mistake. We treat sleep like a performance metric. We compete with our sleep scores. We feel shame about poor sleep. We catastrophize one bad night into a pattern. High performers understand. Your body is smart. It will sleep when it needs to. Some nights you need less. Some nights stress will disrupt it. Some nights are just mysteriously bad. It's not a problem to solve. It's a human experience to accept. One venture capitalist who manages billions explained, "I spent 10 years obsessing over sleep optimization, supplements, gadgets, protocols. Then I read about Navy SEALs performing at elite levels on 4 hours of sleep. I realized I don't have a sleep problem. I have an anxiety problem disguised as a sleep problem. Once I stopped treating sleep like a KPI, my sleep improved naturally." The high performer principle: sleep is not something you do, it's something you allow. Trust your biology more than your anxiety. These 8 sleep habits aren't complicated, but after learning them, you understand why high performers seem to operate on a different level, while most Americans are exhausted despite trying everything. Because high performers aren't trying harder, they're trying smarter. They sync with biology instead of fighting it. They track patterns instead of obsessing over scores. They schedule stress instead of forcing sleep. They protect the first cycle like it's sacred. They heat up to cool down. They wake with their cycles, not with their alarms. And, most powerfully, they've made peace with the fact that sleep isn't something you conquer, it's something you cultivate. These habits don't require moving to a sleep lab or buying expensive technology. They require shifting your relationship with rest, from warrior to gardener, from conqueror to cultivator, from optimizer to acceptor. And here's what nobody tells you: the moment you stop fighting your sleep, you start sleeping better. The moment you trust your body's wisdom more than productivity blogs, your body rewards that trust. The highest performers on earth aren't sleeping perfectly. They're sleeping appropriately, in sync with biology, free from sleep anxiety, trusting the process. If one habit from all of this resonates, cycle-based waking, temperature manipulation, stress scheduling, acceptance, start there. That might be the leverage point that transforms everything. Real performance doesn't come from beating your body into submission. It comes from working with your design. Your body knows how to sleep. Maybe it's time to let it.